Hey, how you guys doing? It's producer from Brothers Comics. Welcome to the Marvel Hacks Season 13, issue number 2 of the Marvel Hacks as we are going over Avengers Forever, 20
And
plus year old
ever
book
and
at this
ever.
point, forever and ever. We'll recap the book here in a minute. On the line tonight, only the two of the hacks tonight. Sandman's still recovering. On the line tonight is Brother Beavis. What's going on?
We should have suggested he put the Kang band down until Kang was off the waves that he would
Yeah.
be gone. We could have perpetuated that.
Yeah, yes.
Now I'm good. Good to be back.
Good to be back. Yeah, we took a little bit of a break. I don't remember why we had to miss the week or whatever, but we're back here.
You,
Me?
Yeah.
It was
you,
me. What
Yeah.
happened? Oh,
you.
I
You
did
timed
start
out.
school.
Yep.
Right,
I started
Tom.
school. Yeah, that's
There,
my bad.
there's a. We have every week at 9 o'clock. There's a schedule.
A standing thing there.
Right.
Hutch is running me. Say hello before you run me.
Yes. Hello, all you happy people.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it happens. I got kids. I
Mush.
got kids. I got
Mush.
kids. Yeah, I
You got
understand.
responsibilities.
This is true. But we are back tonight. We got 2 issues. Last week we only did the introductory issue. Tonight we go 2 issues. We're on the blue area of the moon. We're in Chronopolis, whatever the fuck that means. And we're all over the place, spanning the universes with the Avengers. So yeah, that's tonight.
With these whatever C-list Avengers.
Hey, hold up. That's not fair. I don't think.
Life
All right.
ain't fair.
So Avengers Forever issues 2 and 3 tonight. And before we get into that, we're going to do our new segment of Did You See This? Now, 2 weeks ago, the Flash was fighting with some lightsabers, and it was the most ridiculous thing ever put on television, I believe. This week, a little bit closer to home, What If premiered on Disney Plus I guess 2 nights ago
Yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1 or 2 days ago. The first episode up was what if, essentially, if Peggy Carter became Captain America or Captain Britain or whatever the hell you want to call it. Hutch, did you see it?
I tried to see it, but it kept cutting off on me. I guess maybe there was mutual watching or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's not talk about shared passwords. And Brother Beavis did see it. Sandman saw it, but again, sorry, he's not with us tonight. Brother Beavis, before we started recording, you said it was basically just, Peggy Carter, first Avenger.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was looking forward to the series and I was looking forward to the character and I love the character design. I'm a mark for both Captain America and Union Jack. So this was like two great taste great together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, really the story was just the first Avenger with Peggy, and I gotta say she was way better at Captain America than Captain America ever was. She kicked ass immediately and kicked way more ass than he ever did. So
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I saw a little fanboy hate about oh, well, why does she I'm like, oh my God, you can still jerk off to this character if you want to. That's really basically what people get mad about all the time. It's like, oh, she looked like that. Why? Just stop, man. Just fucking peel one off. It's not gonna hurt anybody. But yeah, I thought it was fun. More than anything, and my note on here says Marvel really they're playing so much catch up to DC in animation. It's put some freaking money into their animation, man. I mean, you have the live action completely locked down. Put some money into your animation. Hutch, my question on here, does freaking Marvel animation have anything close to Batman, or not Batman Beyond, but the Batman original series? Anything like their best Marvel series doesn't even come close to that.
Nothing close. Nothing. They have nothing. Right. If Marvel's lacking in any of the media formats, it's that one. That's the one.
And I don't
or Disney, whatever.
I think in terms of this, the storytelling and the adherence to the comics and stuff, I would put Earth's Mightiest Heroes up there, but it doesn't have the unique feel, and it certainly didn't in reverse then define the comics in the way that Batman the Animated Series did. It doesn't have that impact for sure. I think on its own the quality of that show is pretty good, but it doesn't have the same style and it didn't have the same impact.
Yeah,
and that's got to be the best Marvel animated, in my opinion.
More than one episode. That first X-Men that came out 2 years before the other series, that looked awesome.
What, the Pride of the
Pride of
X-Men?
the
Yeah,
X-Men.
the Pride
Yeah.
of the X-Men.
It always
that,
comes back.
yeah, that was. Oh my God! I think I've died. It came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was gonna say, you can't use Pride of the X-Men as one of their ones because it was a one shot.
It was
Can
a
you?
one
What
shot.
is that? You say it's X-Men or Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That would be probably my guess. I guess is the best one.
But
What about
that
Wolverine and
Ultimate
the
Avengers
X-Men?
one was good though too. That the first movie they made was really good.
Oh, the Ultimates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we
Wolverine
wasn't
and the
called that, was
X-Men.
it? Wolverine the X-Men.
Uh,
So
Big
I
claim.
I like that show. I ended up liking that show, but I hate it because it's essentially like a sequel to The Last Stand. And that's where we got, everyone's story grafted onto Wolverine, and we just get to tell his story, and he's the ultimate leader.
yeah.
That part has always bothered me, but that show actually got to be pretty good. And then they teased Age of Apocalypse and canceled it.
Yeah, and then canceled it. Yeah. Yeah, they really got us on that one. Yeah, I was just thinking, and even though it shouldn't, Earth's Mightiest Heroes gets dinged because when they canceled it, they then ran it back with a cheaper, goofier version that just ruined it, and
Yeah.
not ruined it, but just took away from it. And I mean, but think about like DC's got, if you take the Batman series, you get even Batman Beyond or Justice League Unlimited, like
The
just on
Justice
there.
League Unlimited was.
I mean, it's just
it was
amazing that they
awesome.
have all of these shows, and that's not even getting into the movies that they damn near put out every 4 to 5 months anymore.
Teen
Like,
Titans, Young
Young
Justice.
Justice.
yeah, I mean,
That was good.
yeah, I mean, they are leagues ahead in
Right.
the
Well,
animation
you know
category.
what though? They're starting to get a little bit wanky because I saw Batman in feudal Japan and freaking Superman fight some British group. That was all, or Superman fought some the elite. And there's a couple of them that are like,
Yeah.
but they're still leaps and bounds ahead of Disney / Marvel.
Yeah, they just, I mean,
But Marvel owns the movies, and they own the movies hands down, and they own comic books, yeah, and they own the live actions on TV. So
yeah,
but that's also when DC. I mean, look, they kept true to the stories and the characters, and they made good properties, and they don't do that in the movies.
Yeah,
they try to turn everything into Batman Begins.
Yeah,
or Dark Knight Returns or whatever.
Nah, that's bad. Yeah,
Suicide Squad.
Y'all's nephew saw it. He said it too. Suicide Squad 2. He said it wasn't that bad.
I believe it's the Suicide Squad.
Well, the nephew said that it wasn't that bad, but we also can't trust him for anything. So his reviews or anything, like, he can't be trusted. So I have a.
If Mr. Alba's in it, Mr. Sexiest Man of the Year, Mr. Idris Elba, whatever his name is, if he's in it, it's a bad movie because he makes bad choices.
Strong. That's a strong statement.
A strong opinion there. Oh boy, yeah. Okay.
I can't. I'm trying to name a good movie with him in it.
That's fair.
I mean, other than him getting killed in the Avengers.
Wasn't he in that movie? Was it called The Replacements or something? I think it was based on a comic, but it was
right. As a DC movie where
And I think Captain America was in that one too. He's a third string comic book horror movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought that was a good movie. He was in that.
I just thought he's gonna be Knuckles in the Sonic remake. So there's that. He's got that going for him, which proves your theory.
the Dark Tower, awful.
Yeah.
Well, the movie with him being giant robots, Pacific Rim.
Yeah, Pacific Rim. The first one, that's not bad.
Yeah, he was in that.
Yeah, he's not the star, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, he plays these C-list characters in the movies, and the Marvel movies, gets killed. Of course,
wasn't he in the Star Trek movie once they started to get bad again?
Yeah, he was the villain in the Star Trek movie, which was awful.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
he was the third one.
The third, I think that's the third.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't
because the
see that one.
second one was
Fake
their
Spock.
take on
The
Khan.
Yeah.
right, the Spock ripoff. Yeah.
Hmm. I didn't
Or
see the
yeah, the
third one. That one, yeah.
Rathacon kill
Yeah.
Spock ripoff. Oh yeah. But
Nice.
yes, if Mr. Elba's in it and it's not The Wire, he's awful.
Terrible. All right, well, let's dig deeper into this "did you see it" other thing, and we'll get into these comic books. Okay, so I guess DC announced that Tim Drake Robin. I read the article. He's just open to dating men, so he's not necessarily saying that he's bisexual. Like a lot of the headlines were a little
What do
misleading.
you call it if
I'm
you're
just saying that I'm
I
just to clarify. They said that he was open to dating men. I have no.
if you drive trucks for a living,
Okay, so here's my hot take. It is not really all that hot. I think I've been pretty consistent on this for a while now.
I got my asbestos suit on. Yeah, go for it.
Retro characters, or making them gay or lesbian or bi or
Or
LGBTQ,
Chinese or
like
black
afterwards or whatever. It just
right.
doesn't make any sense, because you could just make a new character. However, then not you people, but people then get mad, like, oh, you made a gay character, now you're just, virtue signaling for those people. So there's no winning in this at all. Like, there isn't. Like,
Well,
in this current
you get a little win. You get a little win.
there's no wins.
Go ahead. We're talking about it. We want to
Yeah,
talk
right.
about it, so that it's publicity. There's their win.
Mm-hmm. But
nobody gave a rat's ass about Quicksilver, or not Quicksilver, but North Star 2 days after his story. But we did talk about North Star for 2 days.
Yeah,
that's the win for these comic books.
Just for whatever. It just does, when they went back and like, oh yeah, Lando was pansexual or whatever, like after the movie came out. I was like, okay, if you're gonna set this up as a possibility, then do it. Don't come back and tell me later on, or they filmed a scene but they didn't make it on the cutting room floor. Like, come on, man. Like, oh yeah, Lando fucked robots too. Well, cool. Like, I could get down with that. It makes sense.
Wasn't every black person happy as blank blank when we saw Colt 45 in the second movie?
Yes, the representation does matter. I agree with that. But when you take an established character and do it like without any, I mean, again, maybe he's been, playing around the edges there for a while now. I just don't read any freaking Batman comic books. But like, it just seems like and I hate that freaking that figure of speech, virtue signaling. It feels very virtue signaling.
So, what's the word again? I didn't hear it.
Virtue signaling, like, oh, you're just doing this to like attract just attract people to this particular like cause or case. You didn't really have to do that.
That's the way that they do things these days. Like I said, I look at Batman comics. I'm like, hey, this is 5 episodes, but Robin's not in it, and I'm happy. So now this story, go for it, I guess.
Yeah,
Black Captain America, pansexual, bisexual, North Star, Robins. When it happens to Spider-Man or when Captain America is kissing, he looked at his own butt in the Avengers movie. But other than that, once they become whatever, then it gets more interesting. But yeah, they got some publicity from it.
Yeah, that could be all it. What do you think, Brother Beavis?
I think it all, I don't know. I'll just draw the parallel to the Iceman story. So in that case, the reveal where you can legitimately look back at history and say, oh yeah, I could see that. But then I think where it fell down was they gave him a book, and the book was about him being gay. And it wasn't a superhero comic anymore. It was about a superhero who was gay, and the rest of the story was kind of suppressed, as far as I could tell. And I don't think a sudden shift like that. I think it's hard for anybody to really grasp unless that's the type of book you're looking for. But it's such a break from what the character was to what it is now. And I don't know the trick to making that I'm gay, let's go fight Magneto, to I'm gay, now we're just going to read books about me going on dates. I don't know. It just seems like the reveals, I think, are handled better than the stories that follow. And I think they kind of wander, and then if there's any sales, well, we had to cancel it because of sales. Well, you canceled it because you really kind of started writing a crap book.
Right.
And people caught on to that. So
well, and then people are like, oh yeah, I was gonna buy that Iceman book, but then he was gay and shit. Like, you weren't buying an Iceman book to begin
That
with.
wasn't the reason.
Nobody was buying Iceman books. Like, because nobody cares about Iceman.
You can
that's
can
why
make
they're making characters like that. Retro making them gay.
And that's the other thing is like the first thing was like, oh, Robin came out as bisexual. Which Robin? The bottom tier of Robin.
Yeah,
that's not the worst Robin, the Silver Age, Green Lantern, a member of Alpha Flight, one of the worst X-Men. It's like
you got. Get it in where you can. I guess go for it.
Fair, but
Batwoman.
Batwoman.
Yeah. Hey, but hey, they made Captain America black. That was about the biggest. That's a bigger shock than the rest of them.
Well, but then and see, here's the rub, and no pun intended. It's it's much more acceptable for because Harley and Poison Ivy are gay or lesbians, and nobody really said shit because people
said stuff. I like it.
Well, exactly, because dudes are perfectly okay jerking off of that shit.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't
say you said that, but people get in their fields like, oh shit, I was gonna jerk off the Iceman, but I don't know if I should. So
speaking of that Batman, the first that one Batman that we all talked about earlier, that was way more sexual and more whatever than any of that that Harley Quinn series.
Yeah, I don't know. By the way, that's another DC animated show that's way above anything Marvel's done, is that Super Harley Quinn cartoon. But anyway, it's just something that it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Or is this just clickbait? Hey, we did this for a couple of issues, like Batman and Catwoman's wedding. That doesn't happen, and then it's like, oh yeah, psych, I went on a date with that nigga, and I'm into chicks now. So I don't know. He just had to explore, whatever. But all right. Anyway, let's get into these goddamn comic books. That make me mad. All right. Avengers Forever, y'all. Issue number 1, or issue 2. Now is the time for all good men. The recap. Rick Jones is sick. He got knocked out from some previous story. They took him to the blue side of the moon to get him healed by the Supreme Intelligence. I guess he's a doctor now. And the Supreme Intelligence and some mystery character who we learned is
Libra.
Fuck. Helped awaken his latent powers and brought Immortus and Kang into a party to fight over time. That was our issue. So that was issue number 1. And so let's get into issue 2. How about this cover, y'all? Y'all see that one? I think it's the one Chaz in the background there if you're watching on the YouTube there. That's a pretty amazing cover. Just nice. Absolutely, that's just great. Getting into these books, and you come to find out or whatever, Wasp plays such an important role in this, but they minimize her on this freaking cover. Not that they couldn't, and I know it's the character or whatever, but whatever. That was kind of weird. And speaking of, gay outfits, we're gonna get into that later when we talk about the Hawkeye. There's something going on there.
It takes all kinds.
Yeah, my
note where?
My note on here says any of these folks look like they're going to attend Pride weekend. Can you pick which one?
I think all of them.
Well,
so I told you I went back and read the Kree Skrull week in the last 2 weeks, and where exactly Hawkeye comes from is kind of interesting. I can get into that if you would like.
Yeah, will it come up later, or was this the time?
Whenever you want. Okay. I think they don't. Isn't this where they say, and you should? Isn't there and you should be called Magneto, and you should be called
yes, it is, and you're in my notes. Yes, you are definitely in my notes here. Okay, so blue side of the moon, everything's still frozen again from the previous issue. The battle ranges on in the chamber, if you remember. after Tempest got destroyed, he turned into a bunch of like toy soldiers that you could buy off the back of your comic book magazines in the 80s.
No, he fueled gateways. His chronal essence formed the gateways through which these soldiers were pulled across time.
Skeet,
Yeah.
skeet. He skeeted a bunch of soldiers.
Yes.
The battle ranges on, and Kang is bucking shots, as they used to say in the 80s, man. Like, if you look at that, I mean, he is just blazing off with his gun. And then we get a chance to see all of our new Avengers that show up in this particular story. It's a comic book roll call, y'all. Yellow Jacket, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. Captain Marvel, Giant Man, Hawkeye, Wasp, Songbird, and Captain America. This is our new group of Avengers that are going to take us through these 2 issues tonight. And then we get a battle, so to speak, as they beat up on some jobbers. Anything that I missed in this part here, other than this book just looks absolutely amazing. The art is just amazing.
No.
Okay.
There's the interesting sequence where they all turn to Cap to like, okay, Cap, what are we doing? He's like,
Yeah. Kang is like, Avengers, yes, that's good. Like, come on, like, let's fight with me. My note says on here, says his gun looks like some Marvin the Martian shit.
Yeah.
Like,
He
it
always
really
has
does.
that big ass gun.
Yeah. We're not
Him
gonna talk
and Bishop share guns.
Oh, geez. It's like, hey, y'all are gonna need to fight with me. And the Supreme Intelligence tells them too. Yeah, y'all need to fight with them. We got to defend Rick Jones, who sucks, by the way. That's gonna keep coming up in this thing. He's a terrible character. He's worse than this. Like, I was like, damn, man, I'm kind of cheering for Immortus. I know I'm not supposed to, but damn, he looks awful. He's just terrible.
And he was insufferable in that Kree Star Wars story.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
So Cap is the crisis of faith that Brother Beavis had brought up before. And then Wasp takes over, and Wasp becomes essentially the leader of the team, and the people are listening to her. Now, if you've listened to any of our podcasts over the last however many years we've been doing this, whenever Wasp comes up, we really talk about her as they treated her like so shabbily as a character, written by men from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and today. It's just really bad, she's just a terrible character. She's unlikable in every sense of the form, but she's also been one of the longest run Avengers, and you would think at some point she would become this character, Hutch. Like, she would become the leader of the team that people listen to. She's been on the team for years.
She's a founding member, right? So yeah, you would think she'd be really, ain't she Avenger chick number 1?
Yeah, first of all, I guess. Yeah, Lady Avenger.
And she was the leader she was the leader of the Avengers during the Secret Wars, but then she stepped aside for Cap, right?
Cap,
yeah. Yeah, so she could go get sexually assaulted by Magneto. Yeah.
And then killed.
Yeah, exactly. Go back and listen to that shit. We'll tell you about everything. There's a Destiny War reference. Hi, if you listen to the last podcast, I know nothing about the Avengers. Destiny War, anyone?
Like I was saying, I believe this is the Destiny War, or it's a reference to the ongoing struggle between Kang and Immortus for dominance of the timeline, much like we saw play out in the series.
I really wish Sandman was here, but Hutch, you're gonna have to fill in this blank. Okay, so the Avengers and Justice League, they're the parallel teams or whatever. Okay, so are Justice League stories this global too, or like universal? Like, because obviously I read a lot of X-Men comic books, and it seems like there's a box on the world, and it like stays in its box. The box doesn't exist. They take it all over the place, and then if you don't have some base form of knowledge, it just doesn't make any sense, but you just feel like lost. Because that's how I feel reading these books. Is Justice League like that too?
The Justice League goes all over the place, and they got stories and things that go from they go into one series into another. Yeah, they got the same problem situation.
Okay, because the Avengers seems way like out there, like, and I wonder if that's why people weren't reading the books. Honestly, because it just seems like it's just so much, Brother Beavis. Like, it seems like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, but it's always been intended to be the big book, right? The original motivation for the Avengers was they took the 5 biggest characters at the time in terms of publication of sales or whatever, and put them in the book together. Was that what if you like them all, why wouldn't you like all of them together? So I think it's always intended to be that scale. And I would say, yeah, like if you think about like even the Fantastic Four, which is spacefaring and whatnot, they go to the blue area of the moon, they go to the negative zone, they have their sandboxes they play in. But yeah, the Avengers I think has always been bigger than that, and particularly when you bring in Kang and start going across time and Atlantis and everywhere else, the Kree, the Skrull, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I find myself reading this and I'm like, man, I have no idea what's happening here. So we get to that part of the comic book where everybody gets to show their fighting skills on their panels here, and we're gonna take it back. I'm gonna go out of order a little bit. So Hawkeye has no trick arrows from this era that he's from. He's just shooting that, and he's like, "Oh, there's Indians, and I can take their arrows." We probably could have left without that one. Cap is super strong because from whatever era he is, he makes the not joke, and that probably trends with Cap. That would just be like not that old freaking joke from back in the day. He's there. But then we get the Yellow Jacket. Now, I do remember reading some comic books back in the 80s or whatever, and I love that character, probably just because of the design. I didn't really know he was smacking bitches and stuff.
Smacking his wife.
Yeah,
and he did it too in the Kree Skrull War. They were flying into this like Antarctic base or whatever, and he's like, I can't explain. They're riding in, he's like, I can't explain. Wait here. Pow! Smacks her off the back of the hand, knocks her out. I'm like, didn't they already do like the wife beating story? And he's still taking shots at her. It's crazy.
They did, and they threw him out the Avengers.
But the costume and the design are just amazing. Like his powers were like, it seemed like so cool back in the day. Like I just, I don't know why it always kind of popped. I mean, I kind of recognized he was a jerk back then, but I did, it was kind of like the cocky, kind of Human Torch type jerky situation.
But he was a complete. This is his dissociative disorder. Like he had a break from reality.
My note says here, like, what happened? How did he turn from peace-loving pacifist to smacking bitches up?
Well, he always had the inferiority complex, and because he was the Ant-Man and he sucked. So then he became Giant Man, and he still wasn't as strong as anybody else. And then so he took out that frustration on the Wasp at one point, and then he sort of recast himself as Yellow Jacket, as this new Avenger they'd never heard of, and they were like, isn't that Hank? And everybody's like, shh, don't tell him. So they let him go, like, and he proposed to Janet as Yellow Jacket, just as some dude that wore a mask that they never knew. And it was weird. Bizarre.
That's
and really she fell for it.
Yeah. Well, no, she said she always knew, but that he needed this to get over his problems or whatever. So at this point, he doesn't consider himself Hank Pym. He's Yellow Jacket.
Yeah.
And so as Yellow Jacket, then he tried to be everything that Hank Pym wasn't. He was bold. He was cocky. He was aggressive.
Smack bitches.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. We got a depiction in the first Ant-Man movie, which it looked cool in the suit, but really, I guess they couldn't have gone where they went or whatever. But it kind of seemed like a, something to maybe hold for later on. But they did give us that version of him. So whatever. All right. So
I'm still amazed that we got as much Hank Pym in that show and it all worked. Because that's, we've talked about the more complicated characters, Cable and the like. Hank Pym's right up there.
Yeah, he's got some issues. Immortus shows up. Where did my note go? Immortus shows up, and him and his own self, they bicker. Called him an academic nerd bird. And then Rick finally hulks up. He gets his powers. I think I watched this show obviously more than y'all did. Like, this is like Chuck season 2, like where he couldn't, get his powers or whatever when he's supposed to access this, and he gets all his Chuck powers, but like he kept, he couldn't activate it. This is Rick. Like, he can't turn on the freaking mojo here. But then when it finally does on, he literally hulks up, his powers awaken, and boom, like we finally have, something happening with him. And then Immortus is like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen yet. And he deuces and he pieces out or whatever. But like, Rick's terrible. He's just terrible. Like, he's just a terrible character. Like, there's nothing likable about him at all. Tell
we
me
used
I'm
to
wrong.
always say bad stuff about Marvin and Wendy and Wonder Dog. This is Marvel's
Yeah.
version of Wendy,
Agreed.
Marvin, and Underdog.
Yeah.
He's in everybody's book. He's just like a nuisance. He's always doing something wrong,
Mhm.
and there's a never-ending quest to make him relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Never ending.
Well, think of it like this. He hasn't made any appearance in 12 plus years of MCU movies. Maybe they don't own his
To our
rights.
knowledge.
Yeah, well, or they don't own his rights or didn't own his rights at some point. That has to be something because he hadn't shown up. But let's see if he shows up in one of these, Disney Channel shows or whatnot. Maybe he shows up in She-Hulk
Don't
or
give me
something.
any ideas.
I know.
Zac Efron is Rick
Hey, man.
Jones.
Come on. So Kang is like, hey, it's been an honor fighting with you, Avengers. That's why I've always respected you
Lord.
or whatever. But yeah, get the boy off the timeline. Like, this is not going to work. He needs to get off the timeline. And get him off the timeline. I'll do the rest. And he dips out as well. So Cap, like, he's like, I had no idea that Kang and Immortus were the same person. Hey, Cap. Me neither. Welcome to the show.
Captain America has what? I think he might have good intelligence.
Hey, come on. Oh, that's awful. Come
He
on.
might.
Cap's smarter than that. Cap's smarter than that.
I think he's only good, yo.
That's awful.
He might not have that.
No, that's terrible. I'm sure you got to find it here. There's a shot of Hawkeye with his bow stretched out there. I was like, who was that shot made for?
Right.
Yeah, Tim Drake. Then the heroes do this. This is what Brother Peter said. This is the you should be called Magneto moment here where everybody gets to shout out, who they are. But before we get to that, we have to do a Libra backstory interlude here that I was like, there was a group called the Zodiacs, yo.
Yeah.
Word. There was 12 villains, and we had to get an origin story with this dude.
It gets better. There were 12 of them, and then they all died and got replaced by robots.
Right.
Who were them?
What LMDs or
something like that? Yeah,
live model duplicates or what, yeah.
Again, this is why nobody's reading these damn Avengers books. This is exactly the reason why. Look at Kang's boots in that picture, by the way, if you're watching on the YouTube version.
Well,
oh my goodness.
I see Mick Jagger in that. If his face wasn't blue and wearing a purple helmet, but
yeah, and so he, he's going to tell his story or whatever. But before we get to that as well, he takes them through the Goonies tunnels. Like, hey man, where are we going? He takes them to this and that and past One-Eyed Willie, and he's like, where are we? We're in the area that's in between nowhere or something like that, And it's like, oh, okay, sure, that's fine. So, and then he tells his story about how he was sent to jail. After doing bad shit with them. This is the team. Okay, if you're on the YouTube version, this is awful. What's the creation timeline for this? Like, this is 60s, 70s,
80s?
70s. I think the early 70s.
Because Scorpio was Nick Fury's brother, so he was, I think, out when they were first starting the Shield Nick Fury stories.
Also, yeah. Wait, Nick Fury was white? All right.
Yeah, I know, right?
It took me a second. It took me a second to bring it back. Wait, there's no black
head.
Oh wait, Ares is the black one. Is he the leader? Because he's in the front.
I think
just
they used to fight about it or something.
Yeah, they always fight it, but that's the other thing. They always, and they do this whole thing where like who's ever stars or in Ascension or whatever has control of it's bad.
Right. And the Virgo is always in the back, and that's sucks.
Well, this also looks like some LSD shit right here.
This looks like we need to sell 12 action figures.
Who would buy this shit?
Yeah, I agree.
This is like the cast of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
They make 10 copies of this. You buy one of them. You wait 30, 40 years, and it'll be worth a whole lot of money because you're the only one who ever bought the shit. The other night ended up in Big Lots.
This is awful. Yeah, he says they say that Libra tells him that his plot, the Kang's plot, is to destroy, Immortus, so he doesn't become Immortus. And Immortus's plot or his plan is not so clear because he's, not supposed to meddle with the timeline or whatever. But he's trying to make sure that whatever happens, that Rick does not, like Rick needs to die. Like that's what needs to happen. So Hank is like, enough with this mumbo jumbo. I'm gonna kick your ass out of balance. I was like, yeah. So he's like, oh, back up, buddy. And Wasp, kind of gets him into check, and it's like, hey, okay, so this is not going to happen. And so now we get to the, all right, this is where everybody's from, and you should be called Quicksilver. So Yellow Jacket, he's like, yeah, I'm coming from that timeline where me and Jan, we were about to get married. He even, references the card or whatever. And like, oops. And then Songbirds from the future. So this is in a post Thunderbolts world, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Or in a future where there were no Thunderbolts and she was whatever. But yeah.
All right. Just side brother topic. We need more Songbird cosplay. Just saying.
I think, have I seen Songbird in cosplay? I think I
don't know,
have.
but we need more of it. I assure you that definitely should happen. Clint is from the past. But they're like, oh yeah, you're not Goliath anymore. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, so he was a Caps Kooky Quartet with and he was another person who always had insecurity. So he started taking the Pym particles, and instead of shooting people with arrows, he was Goliath. So he would grow and punch people. So in the Kree Skrull War, they were at odds with the government for a period because there was a Skrull who had infiltrated the government and started some McCarthyism against aliens. And so he either gave up or got cut off from his supply of Pym particles. And so he spends the next 4 issues saying, I only have a few minutes of growth left the whole time he's growing. And then he finally runs out, and he's like the one person trying to stop this Skrull armada. And he makes this makeshift bow with no arrows. And then the story ends and they're like, oh, well, I guess Clint didn't make it back. And he shows up a couple issues later and tells his backstory. But yeah, this is from that window where he was missing from the Avengers, had no powers, no special weapons, no nothing, and a bad costume.
Wearing the white jacket?
Yeah.
No, that's awful.
Oh yeah. Where he had the vest and the headband. Not that it was all purple, right?
Something like that. People were running everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Awful.
If you're on the YouTube version here, Hutch has pulled up some Songbird cosplay. Now she ain't got it all. We need something else. I'm not saying, not terrible, but no, something else.
Right. There's an outfit you can buy, but women can buy it. But there's some meat on the bone.
Yeah, I got you. No, that's not an issue at all. So yeah, Captain Marvel is the son of the original Captain Marvel. And he was on a planet fighting Ego, the living planet.
As
Rick,
one does.
Not a fan. Yeah, Rick, not a fan of this particular person. Somebody he was also bonded to was Captain Marvel. Like he just winds up or Marvel. Sorry, he's the original. Now that's a character that they killed. What they killed him with cancer?
Yeah.
Like
he had to swap. He reached the point where he was swapping atoms with Rick Jones when they clashed the negabands together.
Right.
One of them would be banished to the negative zone, and it was the negative zone radiation that ended up killing him.
Yeah, and then they kept him killed. Like he hasn't been brought back, which is kind of weird.
He's made some kind of appearances here and there over the last 40 years.
Okay.
But mostly in the sport, that's a whole nother universe of stories.
Okay. Well, Marvel or Wasp and Giant Man are from the same era. That's kind of like where they're in the time that when this particular story started, and Rick is the same, obviously. And then Cap is from this era of where he was fighting a secret empire. I had to take a time out there. I was like, wait, what? I just read those books like 2 years ago.
No, the other secret empire.
There's another secret empire?
It was more secret.
Yeah.
No, I don't know this story as well. I just know this is what led to him being nomad for a while.
Oh, okay. because he got disillusioned. I guess
Yeah.
the government got infiltrated, and
Yep.
the dude killed himself, and so it kind of shook him. Cap is shook, as my note says.
I thought that was the Red Skull who was the politician, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Could be Rabbit. Could be.
Yeah, I don't know. So it's like, all right, so what do we do? What are we going to do now? And Rick gives a Captain America Morpheus speech. He's like, hey, we're not gonna run. These colors don't run. Whatever freaking euphemism you want to use here. Like, we're not gonna run. So Libra's like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. But it's like, no, we got to go. And he takes them to Chronopolis. Now, does this show up anywhere else in comic book history?
Well,
Because I've never heard.
Chronopolis is Kang's domain where he lives at the
Okay.
convergence of all his timelines or whatever.
Yeah, it says half
The
limbo,
city
half
exists
reality.
outside of time or something like that.
Half in limbo and half in reality. I've never heard of this before either.
Welcome to the show, producer.
Yeah, exactly. Kang got when we get to the next issue, Kang got slaves. Just saying. And Songbird seems to know a lot about all this travel and stuff. Like whatever future she came from, she knows a lot about all of this. So I didn't really understand that. And again, I mean that original Thunderbirds run was great, but I never really felt that she was the focus of the book. So I kind of wonder why she got the push here, other than they needed another female character.
I thought she was significant in the Civil War storyline, but I can't remember. I know she was in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 game, which was based on that. She was a pretty prominent character, but I don't know. I can't be sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think around that era, I think
she
started to push.
I had to do a lot of deep searching to find her character.
Oh, I heard Marvel
in my Marvel searches.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that would have definitely been. I mean, what she's a. Now, what was her original?
Screaming
villain
Mimi.
character? Screaming
Mimi.
Okay, right. Okay.
And I can't remember who her boyfriend was, but he got killed, as I recall.
Angar the Screamer or something.
Yeah. I think they might have had something like him on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show. Speaking of, when they opened up the portal in Captain Carter, I was hoping they would pull in this. The Hydra had a alien overlord that they were trying to summon. I was hoping it was going to be him, but it was not.
No.
Tentacles. They still continue to shit on that show. So
yeah, yeah. All right.
Well, they should.
Well,
no.
They get to, no, watch out. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
When they get to Chronopolis, Immortus shows up. There's a big ship's attacking or whatever, and Rick is like, "Godoy!" Like, I brought everybody. Like, I brought I tried to get us to escape, and I brought the villains here. No, yeah, that's what you do because you suck.
Terrible.
And
he sucks. Yeah, hey now. So yeah, it's that. I mean, this is basically end of issue number 2. All right. Now, I don't know if you have a digital copy or a paper copy in front of you. Before we jump into 3, I wanted to do this. As I'm going through my digital copy or whatever, the bullpen bulletins are there. And I kind of wanted to look at some of the old books that were out at this particular time too. Like the available coming soon or whatever. And man, I used to read those Stan Lee soapboxes too, like pretty regularly. It was like kind of one of my favorite parts. All right. So any of these books you collected at the time? Cable. I already know the answer to that shit.
I probably have that.
Gasp. What? Yeah. So retelling of Cable's origin from the first time in chronological order, plus who arrives to reveal the terrible trials of the chosen one. Yeah, really? You have that shit?
Probably.
Bad. Captain America.
I was a mark.
Yeah, we remember.
Still am, I guess.
Yeah, Captain America, Sentinel of Liberty.
Got that.
Yeah, figures.
Well, so that was they had a team together that was great, and then I think they changed up the team and moved the creative team onto the second title or something like that.
Wasn't that like the one with Rick? No, that's Mark Waid, yeah, and Ron Garney, Red Garney. Okay.
This is in '99, right?
No Daredevil.
No doubt. This is Kevin Smith Daredevil. You didn't get those books?
No.
Really?
Oh, Kevin Smith Daredevil?
Yeah, this is Daredevil with Kevin Smith.
Maybe.
I got that first one. It's always the first one. Well, yeah, there was a Daredevil and Bullseye. Or that's something else.
This is just the Daredevil book that Kevin Smith wrote.
Oh, I didn't mess with none of that.
Oh, they're greatly written. I mean, they're fun books. That it was just the shipping schedule. I mean, that
Right.
shit, man.
I still have Daredevil Bullseye 1, and number 2 never came out.
I'm still waiting on Daredevil Yellow, number 4. It might have come out 7 or 8 years after it was
You're
due.
still waiting for Battle Chasers number 4.
Exactly.
Ouch.
Exactly. Awful.
Awful.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. Fantastic Four was written by Chris Claremont at the time. I don't remember that at all.
I probably have that if I had to guess.
This is 1999 or 2000.
2001, I
The
think.
number.
Yeah. Spider-Man Chapter 1. Yeah. And John Byrne was on this book too. Oh, I remember. I have those.
That wasn't
John
Untold
Byrne-
Tales though.
No, this is John Byrne. They were doing like a year one situation.
I don't think I have
Spider-Man.
those.
Yeah, I have those.
Untold Tales of Spider-Man was great.
Yeah, I have that. Thor, Sandman ain't here. Nobody has that.
No.
Nobody. Uncanny. So what was going on? A holiday issue, 365.
Not the BAMs.
That's leading. Isn't that leading right in? That's right around the time of the Grant Morrison era, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. It's Chris Bachalo and Steve Siegel, whoever the hell that is, that was writing. Yeah, nothing. Wolverine. Nobody collects Wolverine. The X-Men book, the thrilling conclusion for the hunt for Xavier. Cerebro has sent out special enforcers, and each one is programmed to destroy each individual. Joe Kelly and Adam Kubert. I'm sure I have it, but I don't know anything about it. Yeah, nothing about this. All right. And then X-Men manga, I know nobody has that. Well, Hutch might have it. You do like your manga.
Remember when speaking of Marvel animated, do you remember when they came out with the 4 manga shows? Those were not great.
No. I remember the fake.
Okay, oh my lord. Man, I used to stay up all night to watch them mangas. And damn it, the art is great.
Yeah.
Oh, that Iron Man series sucked too. But yeah, but man, that shit sucked.
Remember that they had that fake Fantastic Four manga anime one too that was on Nickelodeon as well.
I see that on Netflix or Disney or something, and I watched like 2 seconds that I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah. Every time I'm like, man, much like the Fantastic Four and everything, it's like, man, I think this is gonna be
no.
Cool. I would watch that that mid '90s one just to look at how bad a show could be, but I couldn't. I don't think I could get through that.
Hell, the '80s one too with Herbie the robot. And the thing, and Shmoo and Fred and Barney.
Yeah.
Jeez. I used to like the thing too, and he sold out.
He completely. It wasn't his fault.
It was his fault. And Stan Lee, you sell out, Buck.
Did. Yeah, that's awful. So, all right. So issue number 3, Avengers Forever. Let's see. Hold on. What's this one called? City at the Heart of Forever. And this really turned into some MacGuffin stuff for me. And I'm like, okay. I don't think we shouted out Kurt Busiek as the writer for this. Carlos Pacheco, Jesus Marino is the anchor. Doing them things.
Tracer.
So we get the box thing where we like kind of recap all the characters before we get into the big battle, and then you have this nice opening page where you see everybody fighting. Answer me this question: is Giant Man punching a mountain? Because I don't know why. Like
I don't think so. I think that's just the backdrop.
Is he mid swing? Like, is that what that is? Like, I just don't know. Not really sure what special move.
I'm assuming he's going for one of those ships as they're incoming. I'm sure he's going to punch it out of the sky.
Yeah, there's a moment. I mean, it's easy to miss it in Endgame where Giant Man does that too, like where he takes out one of the Shatari ships and punches it to the ground, like when they all come together. Yeah. Not that I've seen it 1,000 times. So we get this big fight and everybody's fighting.
Look how Clint has like a tunic now. What's up with that?
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we got some good onomatopoeia in this as well. Oh, come on. Like, this is like a good comic book fight, but it's only against ships. It's Justice League season 1. Like, there's no people.
Season 0, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they don't fight any people. And they say it in there. It's like, well, only he sent was ships. Like, oh, okay, so they're just fighting against ships. There's going to be another Saturday freaking toy fight here momentarily. And then, Giant Man's like, here, Cap, take Rick's useless ass and go protect him because he's useless. We're just carrying him around here, and he's just pointless to have, and he says he's useless too, So anyway,
He's right.
yeah, no, and then there's a spot there. So this is where I wanted the Marvel card. So Yellow Jacket tries to use his Yellow Jacket powers against a ship, and it's to no avail. And then Wasp comes and uses her powers and blows it up. All right, so pull up Yellow Jacket's card, please, because this is probably going to be depressing.
I thought you had I sent all that shit.
You did, but I like it to to go over it live on the show.
What the Honda?
Sorry,
Lord.
because I'm just saying, like, he's not like the design is awesome. It's very much a Ghost Rider situation here, but
he can't even fly. He can just jump, and he's
yeah,
got
like
bioblast.
He can fly, or he's supposed to be able to fly.
He can only fly. No, his things vibrate that makes him jump higher. He can't actually fly.
Said. All right. So statistics. All right. So if you're on the YouTube,
good strength.
Oh, he's what? He only got 70 health points. That's
remarkable.
Awesome.
I knew it. I was gonna say it.
His
That's like if Sandman was here, he'd be like, when remarkable means shitty.
He fights as well as Colossus.
Well, come on now.
I mean,
hey, don't. The next person says Colossus.
I think he has more health than Cyclops too.
Yeah, I think he does.
I think they're even.
Well, Cyclops doesn't have good, he does have good strength.
I think Cyclops might have. No, Cyclops is 76. I think he has remarkable agility and typical strength.
All mutants, really means Negroes, all have one column shift of endurance.
Good to know.
Oh man,
it's true. It's true.
I'm not disbelieving.
All right,
you.
Do we need to compare to Wasp now?
Yeah, can you go to Wasp? And
man, that's a lot of word.
I mean, as you're pulling that up, it's just like he calls her his my Janny, like my Janny. You could do this or whatever. And then we get a hot tag save here by Clint. Move your head 8 inches to the whatever. As he shoots an arrow to stop another arrow from coming. And then as you're looking that up, okay, who the hell is Red Wolf?
Oh my, Red Wolf. I could have pulled him up too.
Oh, for Pete's sake, he has a card?
He has a card. Wait a minute, I don't know about.
Was he one of like the?
He's like a West Coast Avenger.
Yeah, the West Coast Avengers crossed over with the Wild West heroes in the past on their own time journey, and some of them got pulled in.
With Tigra.
Hey, I read it so you don't have to.
Like you read it because nobody else did. What the hell?
Hey, I read it.
Y'all are mutants
Red
yourselves.
Wolf.
Shift your endurance.
We have shift endurance.
Yeah, because you needed some endurance to be reading this shit. Like shift. What in the world? That's terrible. Like what in the world? Like again, this is seriously. This is like the NWO having too many groups, like black, red, the Mexican ones. Like it's just have one group, man. Like you don't need all these other people. It just doesn't work. Like when you expand too much, it waters down the product.
That's what racists say.
What you talking about?
That's what all the hate groups be saying.
Come on.
Why can't y'all be like us?
Right. Let y'all be all American.
How come y'all need your own Avengers team?
Right. Why y'all want to have freedom? Can you just
get with this white one?
Right. Why y'all want to have freedom?
What do y'all need your own Avengers? Y'all ain't got nothing to avenge.
Hey, it's slavery. No, I just don't think that this is like you telling me there was a Wild West Avengers.
Well, again, the other characteristic of the Avenger was the revolving roster. And X-Men has reached that point now where everybody was an X-Men.
Everybody has to be.
It used to be you had your core teams, and there was like 3-4 major teams over the years. But Avengers has always been, the original team disbands like before issue 16.
Yeah.
Captain America is the only one
Thor-
that carries forward.
Right. Thor is always going to Midgard or going back to
Red Wolf.
Asgard.
And Hulk quit in episode 2.
Yeah.
Hulk, right. He's a member of the group, and the next minute they're fighting him. So
80. Well, it's just a modern comic book aside or whatever. Like, and using a rap term, like they don't let people feature in comic books no more. Like it's like you show up in a book and it's like, oh yeah, everybody likes them. Let's give them a freaking miniseries. Like no, like stop. Like they were good. They came in, they worked the territory, they lost a loser leave town match, and then you don't see them again for 12 issues. That's perfectly fine. Like I don't need to see Red Wolf outside of any other time, man. Like seriously, like why there's not enough Red Wolf stories to sell a comic book.
yeah,
So
I think I remember him in Tiger's own story or series.
of course he was.
Where and they fought the Super Skrull, like Tiger 6 or Tiger 7. Yeah.
If you tell me there's a book where Red Wolf and Tyra defeated a Super Skrull, I'm gonna throw
They
something.
did. I swear to goodness.
He's a Sunday night superstar.
Come
Right.
on, man. This is awful.
You roll out the
and they-
Super Scroll when you need to get
And he
somebody.
had a
That's
and he had a
fair.
pet creature named what, Lobo or something? Yeah, Lobo.
That's not the same Lobo DC. Just happened.
And I don't think it's even a shot. I think it came out well before.
Y'all gonna tell me now this dude named Kazar too, right? Y'all gonna tell me that? That's not
Zabu?
Kazar?
No.
I thought it might be, but I don't know that is.
Yeah, they kind of look like Kazar, except for the little thing in his chest, whatever. So anyway, so they tell the story about, once they get to Kang, about like I told you, Kang got slaves. About
he always goes back into Egypt and still does shit.
Well, and there was this thing, and I saw, speaking of said racist fanboys, that people were mad because, Kang was black, and I know, and people were pulling up like comic book shots where he took his helmet off and his head was white, and I was like, y'all are really mad about Kang? Like, really? Kang, of all characters, you're gonna get pissed off about? Like, nobody cares about Kang, man. I mean, nobody cares about Kang.
They're more about Tang than Kang.
There you go. Nice. Tang is trash too, by the way. Just FYI.
Wah!
Yeah,
That's
a different podcast, but yeah, Tang is trash. So yeah, he has this time machine that is awful. Yeah, there's a Super Scroll if you're watching on the YouTube. That's a really well drawn book, and they gave it to Tiger.
They were trying this Tiger getting a push in 1975.
Yeah, she's gonna show up in one of these shows.
Is that Patsy Walker too?
I don't know if it's Patsy Walker.
This looks very John Burney. Did he draw this book?
He might have. Well, no, the Super Skrull is. It could, you know what? Actually, I think he did. If you look at Tiger,
Tiger, it looks
that's very Bernie.
Very much so. Anywho,
very Bernie.
So he's like moving in his time chronal machine that is in one of the Sphinxes or whatever, so it'll become important there. And then he comes and explains this story to the Avengers, like why Immortus is there, that he is here to get what is this shit called? The Heart of Tomorrow. Is that what it is? Or Heart of the
MacGuffin of Tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. That's why Immortus is here. He's to be able to get that. And what is this a real thing?
That is real. I had that book.
Oh, not that. I ain't talking about Tiger. I'm talking about the Heart of Tomorrow. That's a real thing.
That was in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, wasn't
it? Yes.
Oh, for Pete's sake. I can't remember. That's a serious recall. You're never going to remember anything again after pulling
They had to get it so they could defeat Venger and get back to the amusement park.
Well, right. And they never did.
And they never did. Speaking of which, how many episodes of that show was there? Approximately
20, 23, 24, I think.
Really?
I think it was a season, but it wasn't like a 13 episode season. I think it was like 23, 24.
I seen like 8 of them episodes, and it was the same 8. They never showed any movies on CBS.
That's what they showed all of them in Canada, but they never made it to the America.
Not Canada.
Canada got all the series.
Yeah, they got all the stuff. Yeah,
right. Them Canucks.
Canada. All right, sorry. Anyway, So as they're bringing that, and Kang's like, he's never going to have the heart of tomorrow. That's it. And so Avengers, Morpheus speech, you need to stand with me, fight for Zion, because this is what we need to do.
I like
And
his chalice.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, well, I like what's going to happen after actually they conclude this scene. Yeah, well, so yeah. So there's that, and then they keep going through. I'm sorry, what my note here says. Their little bit of a story here, and then we get to this scene with Marvel and Rick Jones again. As he's, throwing up the X. Uh, he comes about. And does anybody read this story? Was this in the Kree Scroll War where he hates his son, Brother Beavis?
Um, I so no, it wasn't, but because I don't think he had a son at the time. I don't know, but Rick and Marvel always had a strained relationship.
Right.
So
right, they did have a strain, and because they were both strained.
Yeah, because Rick had to give up his life. He had to go in the negative zone whenever Captain Marvel was doing stuff after a certain time.
Wait,
Right.
what?
Yeah, they were
They were sharing.
They had to swap atoms with the negabands, and while one of them
Right.
was manifested in the real world, the other would be imprisoned on the negative zone.
They were Eskimo brothers.
So I think it's either he had beef with his dad or you ain't your daddy beef. I don't know. It's not worth delving into.
Right. They were rebelling against the time, man.
Is this like some Starfire shit, like where he couldn't be the professor at the same time? He can only be the professor.
Oh, yeah, in a sense, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Firestar.
Starfire. Oh yeah.
Firestorm.
Firestorm, yeah. Firestar is
golly. Firestorm. Well, yeah.
Wait, which one is that?
Firestorm is the one you were talking about.
The flaming hair.
Yeah, the flaming hair. Okay.
Who's the dual two people? Firestar is one of Spider-Man's amazing friends.
Angelica Jones.
Miss Angelica James.
Miss Angelica, yeah, that's the one. Who ain't made an appearance in this book back where she ain't come back. So as Wasp goes to comfort Cap, like what we're going to do, as she makes
it's not you, it's me.
Yeah, she makes this loin like, oh, hey, where's Kang? You ever heard of him? He's like, he's out gourding his loins. So Kang was like, this battle is crazy. You know what? But before the next battle, I'm gonna go fuck, and then we can come back. Then we can come back and do some fighting. I was like, this is amazing. Kang is now my favorite character.
Yeah, he's black.
I know time is about to be destroyed. We better fuck one last time, girl.
I'm about to gird my loins.
I was just like, who in the world, man? This is great. But anyway, so Cap gives his, I think I've outlived my usefulness speech, and it's such a Captain America trope at a point here, especially at this time, I would imagine, but definitely in the 80s too. I mean, I Spot Check read some of those books, but this is just constantly with him. I'm not sure if Captain America is really supposed to be, as useful in this world anymore. All right, we got the Rick Jones Marvel card pulled up. 36 health. That's too much. that really, he's fighting it good. Come on, son. Come on.
Yeah, because he read comics. He learned how to fight reading comic books.
Yeah.
But the end of what is his occupation?
Bodyguard
of Bruce Banner. Okay.
Yeah. I was gonna say Dick Rider, but whatever.
So yeah, the end of the Kree Skrull War, the Supreme Intelligence locks into his evolutionary potential, and he just develops this power to simultaneously paralyze both sides of the conflict. There's like 4 Avengers fighting on the edge of the cosmos, and Rick gets imbued with superpowers, paralyzes both sides. The end. It's the stupidest ending ever.
And why Rick Jones won? Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, why Rick Jones is the person that gets it?
Because it started off as a Captain Marvel story, because that was the whole thing. Is he was in the event. They had a crossover story with the Avengers, which led into the Kree and Ronin and the Sentry 459 or whatever. It was very much like that, the episode on Earth's Mightiest Heroes where they fight, and they fight with the big Sentry, and Captain Marvel's there. and then Carol gets hurt. It was very much like that.
Okay.
Very much.
That's
Except worse.
wild. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I forgot to say Cap is still, doubting himself, and people are watching, like, man, he's gonna bring it together here, and gonna hit a home run in it, ninth inning or whatever. And so, crisis alert. The next battle comes. Kang don't just bring ships this time. He finally brings some people, or not Kang, Immortus. He brings some people, and he brings millions of them, and it's just an overwhelming thing for the heroes and Kang here. They're just getting overwhelmed, but they still get in some action shots. Again, the onomatopoeia in this book is pretty good. Rack, sack, clud. There's some good stuff here. Even okay, what's Giant Man fighting at? Because he sucks. Just that before you look it up, there's no way he's fighting above excellent.
Yeah,
and it probably shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I would think probably good, but he might be. Yeah, he can't be above excellent.
He's terrible. Like he's
He's got to be like good, incredible, remarkable.
You're gonna be hurt.
Oh, come on. That can't be more than that. And so as the battle rages on outside, Tempest is going to make his reappearance. Actually, Rick is trying to get oh, wait a minute. What is this?
Monstrous.
Oh, it was what?
If he increases his size, his strength and endurance go to monstrous.
But that's kind of weird because he can't usually. I don't know if I'm reading this right, but he can't usually
get it up,
keep it up, so to speak.
Yeah, usually it used to be the taller he got, the more strain on his heart, the longer, the shorter he could hold it.
Right. He had the Ultraman problem or something.
But I would tend to think this character in this book is posed as a future kind of most evolved, and I could buy that for this character.
More used to it, kind of whatever.
Right. Okay.
We'll use that excuse.
Rick's getting beat up and he's trying to access his powers again. This is Chuck. Like he can't, come on, smack me, do something, like whatever, and
activate me.
It's Professor X chair.
Oh yeah, that's kind of fancy. But they're getting their asses kicked, and they do, they issue the order to pull back, because there's just no way that they're going to be able to do this. And they pull back into whatever citadel that they get into, and they need to get into the Sphinx, which is the time machine that Kang has, so they can take themselves, wherever away.
Get the hell out.
Yeah, well, and then, and again, Immortus, Tempest shows up for Immortus, and he puts the smackdown on Kang. Excuse me, and then Immortus shows up, and he grabs the heart of Forever, or touches it, or does something to it. Hey now. And he then turns that, as the Avengers escape in the Sphinx, he turns it into now another MacGuffin, the Forever Crystal. Okay, sure, fine. He's trapped all the realities in this crystal, correct?
I believe that's the implication.
Yes, it's the plot of Saint Elsewhere. So everything that's going to be happening in here is going to happen in the Forever Crystal, and the Avengers, before he was able to do that, were able to skirt off of some version of reality or whatever, and they're gone. And that's issue 3. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing here, and I kind of skipped over some of it though, but there was, a lot of the stuff from the Loki series was kind of inspired us doing this. There's talk of pruning, there's talk of the multiple timelines, there's talk of like, hey, you can't really change the past when you do this, which is kind of all these threads that they've built in the movies. You don't change the past, you just create a different timeline whenever you do something, different. It just branches off. And then you have your timekeepers or whatever that are, kind of watching this to make sure it doesn't go too crazy. But reading this, it seems like the Loki people read this too. That would be my guess. And would you say that's fair, Brother Beavis?
Yeah, I would guess so. I can't imagine there's more than like half a dozen Kang stories of any significance, and it wouldn't take too much to read them. And this is certainly I would say the most coherent, maybe the most modern, because I think this is pretty much the end of, I think things get less connected and less rational after this in comic book writing. So I can't
Things fall
imagine
apart.
a follow-on story that made more sense than this, and this is already confusing enough.
Yeah, it is very confusing.
So, right, a whole lot of reaching at straws.
Well, I mean, and again, this it comes back to what I was saying before. It's like it's there's so much going on that it's really hard to kind of put that all together. And I think the Avengers and Justice League, for the books that I read, when my kids were reading DC, that like, man, it's like really hard to put all of this together. Like it's branched out too much. And then as reading the Avengers comic book, the most recent relaunch, when it most recently relaunched 2 or 3 years ago with, the big three or whatever, then they were at, of course, Black Panther's in it now because he's got movies and shit. And then they was like, oh yeah, we're going to put Ghost Rider in it. And shit, there was somebody, Blade is now an Avenger. And I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, this doesn't really make a whole lot of
Avengers
sense.
International. Or
But again, even if you're going to do that, like, I don't know, like just the idea of all these, I think this is the same thing I've been saying about the X-Men books too. The idea that all these global threats are happening and like only one team is like, oh man, maybe we should deal with that. Or the X-Men are getting freaking demolished off the planet and the Avengers are like,
wasn't that part of the Illuminati breakdown?
How so?
Yeah, that I thought they split up responsibilities on when Doom acts a fool, you go do him, and we'll go take on Galactus or something.
Well,
I think they split it up kind of.
It just doesn't make any, again, it's such a post or like old school comic book thought, I guess. Like, why don't it just, I don't know, it's just too world.
If I saw a 300-foot dude land in New York, you would think everybody would show up. Just my opinion.
Nice. Okay, so we have all the, if you're on the YouTube there, all the Hank Pyms. Yeah, all the Pyms.
The best part was when he's like didn't have an identity and he just always referred to himself as the scientific adventurer Hank Pym. That was the best.
I got that on a card.
Yeah.
Man. So the Ant-Man is terrible. He has 24 hit points. What the fuck,
man? Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man. I think Wasp was actually tougher than Ant-Man.
I mean, Nightcrawler shows up to that fight and he just beats shit out of him. I mean, that's just terrible. I'm never in my life.
Is just he'd be killing it, literally.
Yeah. So I mean, so how does that? Again, I didn't get a chance to read too far ahead this week or whatever. But it's not that it feels like I'm shitting on it, but I'm not trying to. Like, it seems like an interesting story, and and honestly, I don't remember 20 plus years ago reading this. I remember reading it, but I don't remember how it turns out. And so I'm kind of interested in that part. But like when you get these time spanning stories, you can really get lost in the details. When in actuality, we're just like, hey man, can we get to the part where they fight and stuff? Like each other and like with the reason and like unveil like the bigger plot here as opposed to just kind of going all over the place. And so I don't know, it's just it's been like a kind of a weird read, especially like back to back onto those two particular issues. But what y'all think?
You got it, brother Beavis.
I was gonna say the big thing that I don't think adds a lot is the brawling fights against thousands of normals, ships or robots or whatever. I mean, I could do less of that. And, this is sort of moving him to the place. I think from here forward is kind of the world has been built. Now the story unfolds. But so it's definitely a lot of prep and expository work to get us here.
Yeah. No, and again, which makes sense. It's a 12-issue limited series. So it would make sense that were to happen, but I don't know. It's just it gets so confusing to get bogged down in too many of the details. You can't enjoy the comic book. Hutch, what do you think?
I think you pretty much summed it up. I'm still kind of like, these are the people you put this group of folks,
right? Well, I would imagine that there's going to be other Avengers showing up here. I would assume.
Yeah, and
I can't
better.
remember, but I would assume somebody's coming through the plot. But if this is our team, there's no strength on this team. Zero strength, as we talk about with the
There's
X-Men when they roll out there with nobody that can, has any strength over. Shit, you pulled up Goliath's card there. What did he have? He had monstrous strength when he's big.
Yeah.
One dude.
Captain Marvel had something. He was.
Well, I'm sure they didn't adjust his card when. Why did Cap get super strong? No, it's just happening.
Cream.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. The clear and the
Cream or the
clean.
clear, one of the
Yeah,
two.
the clean. The Bane juice. Something.
Oh god, that's really an old joke now. The clear and the cream is a very old joke now. Wait, whoa, Wasp is fighting at Excellent? That
Yeah,
would not have been my
she
thought.
knows martial arts D. She could apparently she can she can flip the Hulk over with martial arts D. I think that's right.
Is that a thing in the new game? Martial arts D?
There's martial arts A, B, C, and D. And yeah, one of them you use your karate as your fighting ability, or maybe your agility. But yeah, one of them is where you can, no matter what the endurance of the other person is, you can use judo or something to flip them over. I think that's martial arts D. I'll look. I'm looking it up.
Sure. She got 80 health points. She's crushing these people, man.
Yeah, only got the remarkable energy blast though. So
yeah, the shields.
There was right. As the smaller she gets, the more powerful her bio blast is, if I remember correctly.
Oh, word! I'd never heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, see, her strength is raised by one column shift in her smallest size, but her health does not change.
There's a version of me, and I don't know where that person is, but there's a variant of me. It's like, man, we should play this shit.
Well, now that you say that,
here we go.
I do have a Roll20 set up for Marvel superheroes.
Yeah, there's a variant of me that's like, this is not a terrible idea.
Yeah. We know
just
that this too shall go away.
No, I mean, yeah.
Surface too shall pass.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be kind of interesting to kind of relive it because,
that's
like I said,
terrible system.
Yeah, but
it is very simplistic. But man, I got an article written up of all the superhero systems. But it's man.
Yeah, I just
yeah.
Go ahead.
This the one that it's the least common denominator of mixed vegetables. They all taste like corn. But yeah, Marvel superheroes is the least common denominator of superhero games because after you get past this, y'all hated on DC heroes, and Champions and all the rest of them are hard as blank.
You gotta have a PhD to play Champions.
Exactly, and a calculator, and you gotta keep an eye on all the cheese heads when they're over there making up these crazy characters.
Nice. I mean, you lost me after DC anyway.
Right, exactly. See, that's why.
Because this shit was super complicated. So I get why Marvel's like game is as attractive to people because whatever. But in the same breath, like, oh man, this is one of my favorite characters, man. I'm gonna get, I'm gonna take Wolverine, or I like Cyclops, man. You know what? Give me this character. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna shoot my optic blast. Oh, well, I got a monstrous shield or body armor, and my shit only grew like 30, so I'm just doing nothing. I'm just rolling dice for the fuck of it.
Right.
Like, what the hell, man? What the fuck you mean, Cyclops? He can't. He fighting it. What? Like he's the leader of the X-Men.
He can't do nothing. Well, actually,
he can't do nothing.
Cyclops is tough. I mean, as far as his powers go, but he can't take a hit.
Yeah, exactly. He ain't got no body armor or nothing, man. He out in 2 rounds. My character,
2 rounds.
My little paper towel, my little paper thing just laying on the ground, man. That was the worst part.
The trifold.
My little trifold just like all laid out, man. Like, well, they all dead.
He did get taken out by Morgan McTaggart. So
Anywho, all right. So we'll wrap up issue number 2 here tonight.
Not that anyone's still listening.
Yeah,
After that,
exactly.
after that
You can find
sterling
this podcast,
finish.
yeah, exactly, on podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. There's some Marvel comic book game heroes out there that listen to this crap. Yeah. So if you're on YouTube, you can watch the pod, rate, review, subscribe, all of those types of things. If you're listening on the podcast version, you'll hear the X-Men animated music playing us out. Can't do that on YouTube. Rights issues. I am the producer of this podcast, and I am signing off. Hutch, go ahead and sign off. Hutch, you can go sign off first, man. Don't get fired.
Sure. Yes. Go Avengers. Go Immortus.
Yes.
Have a good evening.
We've assembled. Oh, we can't really assemble the Avengers without Sandman, but it's okay. Brother Beavis, go ahead and sign off.
He'll be on our left soon enough, I think.
Soon enough, yes, for
Yeah.
sure. Sandman, get
See you
better.
next time.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Pieces.